Thanks for staying with us. A video went viral over the weekend. Students of a school in Kwara State were bitten for allegedly drinking alcohol at a friend's party in a video. These students were flogged mercilessly. This brought about a lot of controversies and comments and thoughts on social media. And it reminds us of the issue of how far is too far in disciplining children in times like this. We're going to show you a clip of this video. Viewer discretion is advised. Watch this. Right, so those were clips of the beating, but afterwards we're also shown the results of that beating, the marks, the imprints of the beating, the marks of the students. We didn't show that because that would have been inappropriate for television, but some of you have probably seen it already on social media. So the conversation, therefore, is, I mean, when I discussed it with you, I was born a Muslim, and I know that I went to a Muslim school, and it's not about that. It's the fact that there's always this stringent method of ensuring that everybody reads, and you go a certain way, you have to read the Quran a certain way. Or even in some religion, I don't know about the Christians, I don't know if they do that, but sometimes it's seen as it's normal for these kinds of beatings to happen when you go out of line in some of these Arabic schools. And as we are growing and we are getting more exposed, the conversation, therefore, is that, is this sustainable? Can we continue to do this? Is this the right thing? Can we now begin to see the dehumanization in these acts? Or are we saying this is how it's done? Let me come to you, Nima. Let me start with you. Because this is your constituency.
I went to Arabic school, but I wasn't beaten like this.
But you were beaten?
I was beaten 2 strokes, 3 strokes. Yes.
And that's it?
That's it.
Wow.
But I know people who... My younger sister just walked out of Arabic school because she couldn't speak Yoruba. And the teacher just would not try to speak English to her. And they assumed that because we were born in Lagos, that must be our language, whereas our first language was English. A lot of the methods of teaching, Muslims, if you run a poll, Muslims that are in every sphere in the world today will tell you they don't work, they're counterproductive. People no longer subscribe to them. But you have some schools in the core south and core north where these are the methods. And even in north, some would push the children outside to beg, which is their Almajiri system. These were methods devised by the teachers themselves. So nobody should generalize them as Islam, because I'm still a Muslim. People still grew up practicing their religion, and they learned differently. My younger sister came home and said, Daddy, you better teach me or I won't learn. And so my father taught her. And never once was she caned. So there are several methods of teaching. And this is not Islam. They are devised by the teachers in their whatever they call disciplinary methods. So this story, I got messages over the weekend. Everybody asking, Nima, you must say something. As if this now is Islam. So now come and talk, you know. And you will know Muslims. People were coming on the comment sections and replying and saying, no, it's not Islam. But the problem is parents subscribing to a person's methods of helping you raise your children. You remember when I said a lot of times you resort to shortcut methods to solve long-term problems. To raise a child religiously is a family deliberate intention. It is not taking the child to any school that works. It is either the parents want to be the example or nothing.
Yeah. Right. Let me pause you there. Let me pause you there because I want us to move away from the Arabic part of it, because now it's about disciplining and raising children in that religious way. And I thank you for taking us there. Yeah. So you want your child to be in your own religion, but even you are not taking responsibility to teach the child, and you're expecting that the Sunday school teacher or the Arabic teacher will do the job for you. So that's really the conversation. Let me come to you, PC.
Yeah, so I've always said that nobody would raise your child better than you would. And deliberate parenting is the way to go if you want your children to turn out right. Gone are the days when some of our parents raised us absent-mindedly, and we still struggled and found our way. These days, if you raise any child absent-mindedly, it will tell in that child's future. So for me, when it comes to discipline, the first question I ask is, what is the end purpose? To what end are we planning to discipline this child? Is it for correction, so that the child does not do it again, or for damage? If you have those two things in mind, I always also say that some of these teachers need to be properly trained in child psychology, because you just see them as little human beings that don't have any sense. They are full-blown spirits. Whatever you do to them today will affect them in the near future. So if you ask yourself, like this morning, my son did something in the house, and my husband was fuming. I had to hold him. I said, please, don't react now. When I come back home, I would address it. Because I know that in anger, he could hit him and injure him in anger. But if we calm down, I understood what he did, and I knew why he did it, and I know that it's not something I want him to continue doing. So I already found out a way to address it, but not in the heat of that emotion. So even as teachers, we were taught in the classroom. I happen to, be in a 21st century sort of setting. So we're taught that you do not react. You don't put your frustrations on the children. You let it simmer. And then you have talks with their parents. What happened to inviting these children's parents? See, your son went out and, disobeyed and decided to drink. We are going to have a meeting. We are going to, put him on punishment. Why do you have to go through? Did you see how that kid was landing? I was feeling it as if it was me. So this, in long term, will cause damage. So you now have a child who sees violence for violence, an eye for an eye. Somebody does something to him as an adult, and the next thing is to hit. We are all like that.
These are teenagers. They're not even children. And it's like parents have handed them over. As in, do as you wish. So I'm handing over to just treat him as you should. So when parents do that today, and this happens, how best can we retrace our steps? Because many of these kids are also at the mercy of their teachers.
Yeah. Actually, I think that what we don't understand is the parents wanted this to happen. So the parents wanted a disciplinary measure that would be to them. A disciplinary measure that would compel the child into obedience. So probably they've tried, or they did not even try, but obviously from the story we heard, the parents actually reported the children that my child is, let me deal with this situation. So this is the way they could deal with it. I feel that we should, there's a statement I saw that if you take away compelling and you take away force out of religion, and you take away poverty out of our society, you will see that very few people will pursue any religious beliefs.
Yeah, I agree.
If there's no poverty or failed governance, people will not go to they won't pursue, because we are being compelled because the forces of life have pushed us into religion. But if you take that out, what the focus should be across all religion is to preach the opportunities that your humanness will give you to impact life. So when you want to tell somebody to stop drinking, it's not by beating the person. It's by telling them that your life, the purpose of your life is beyond. This alcohol is going to deter you from what you're supposed to achieve, the impact you're supposed to have, the kingdom you're supposed to reign upon. You're supposed to build that person's confidence to the point where they will feel like all these things are distractions from my vision. But we don't do that. We feel like we must be forced and beaten and
caned into compliance.
And it doesn't work. What people should have realized by now is it builds rebellion. They would obey in front of you. They will not drink in front of you. Once you turn your back, they will do everything you told them not to, because they don't understand it. They are only doing it because of you, not because of themselves. And it is not working, and it will not work. Let us go beyond just compelling obedience. Even across governments, it's the same thing that happens. You feel like by beating them, of course, they would obey in front of you, but we will not achieve long-term results. Now, there are many people doing this. This video was just a revelation of what people do behind the scenes. So what we expect is that we deal with the holistic issues.
Yeah, because a lot of people skip school.
Even during our time.
The guy beats me when they beat me.
Yes, now. But so is that like many people have passed through this alcohol, partying, and
this is actually the age for it.
They're like teenagers. They want to do those things. So what's the right approach? That's the next question. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So it's important to note that the Kwara State government has sent a delegation to visit the school in question. And part of the delegation included the commissioner of education. I think also they said
they put a panel.
Special advisor, a panel of final advisors to the governor on religion, and a few other people went together to the school, interviewed the parents of the girl, the only girl there, and also spoke to the school authorities. Although the school authorities did say that they had the parents' permission to do what they did. But I think they've currently suspended, and they're asking that they've raised the panel to investigate further, and then we'll know what happens. But for now, they're asking for calm. So we know that the government and the school have taken, they've taken appropriate actions. But the conversation is, when you have teenagers who are being teenagers, they want to drink, they want to party, they want to hang out, they want to stay out late. And when we were younger, our parents used to beat us. Maybe not exactly like that, but they beat us. They beat us. So in this 21st century, and I'll probably bring this to BC, in this 21st century, how therefore do we understand it and then allow our kids to be themselves?
May I quickly say how we do it now in Muslim schools? Because now, most of us are taking our children to Muslim schools still, but not these methods. So you become involved in the PTA and the decision-making. In every Muslim association, there's something called the Shura. Shura is a board that, decides standards and methods, what your curriculum is per time. So I withdrew my children recently from the school that they are to another school, and that school does not have that set up yet. And already, I'm involved in how it will work as a parent. I'm not going to drop my children and go home. I've asked them questions about how the curriculum is, the morning prayers, what do you do? How do you do this and that to the children? That's what the parents here failed to do. So they gave their consent, blanket consent. But no parent that is a true parent would deliberate, because you can beat your child like this. Nobody will say, if I kill you, and me born you, those kind of things our mothers used to say. But if you see somebody do it to your child, it will turn something in your head.
Let me take this call from Fashola. Fashola, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
And I'm so happy to be with you guys today. This topic is very interesting. The most important thing is that let's start with something. Love within parents and children is missing. If you don't show your children how much you love them, they won't be able to open up and communicate with you. That is the first thing from the parents. From the society, we have lost the focus. We put everything on teachers. We put everything on religion. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't be. Well, in this environment, which is a different environment entirely, the best approach here is communication with your children. Show them some love. How do we discipline? I got to learn it when I came here. You don't beat, you don't smack. But if your child has been on holiday with you at some point in time, and they love it, if they are now misbehaving, we are looking forward to another holiday coming. We have to sit down and talk about it. If you want to go on this next holiday, we need to find a solution to this problem. Or take away their device or something that they really cherish.
So there are ways
These are some of the few approaches.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fashola, to render the different ways of approaching
solutions. I think that we've discussed corporal punishment several times. This is corporal punishment. Yes. And as a country, we need to domesticate the Child Rights Act. We need to decide how do we want to raise our children. It's not the breakdown of how to emotionally connect with the child, behavioral modalities to correct a child. BC can talk about that. But as a government, the government takes responsibility for every child. These children are your citizens. So you must create a structure that, regardless of the school, and we've seen several videos. This one is happening in Muslim school. We've seen public schools where they get beaten. I was beaten because Valentine's Day, I wasn't in school in the morning, and they know everybody that wasn't in school on Valentine's Day went to see boyfriend. So the statement was, all of you that did not show up in the morning of Valentine's Day, all of you queue up here. And it's a Christian school, and they beat all of us publicly. So for them, it is a way of, we must show you in a painful way so you will not do it again. while we can address it, the government takes responsibility for these are our citizens. You don't treat them anyhow. Don't give us rebellious children, because if we give us rebellious citizens, when anything goes wrong, their first natural reaction is violence, because that's the only way they know how to deal with situations. So the government must penalize. Schools create a framework of how they want to raise the children. In the society, cutting across every school, every religion, this is the standard. Then we can now start from that place, building up, not just isolating the situation with a Kwara.
Because I'm involved in some of the work that the Lagos State government is doing on the Excel. Beating is totally unacceptable. And they're giving you ways on how to deal with children. And there are times where we go for inspection and we see cane. The commissioner will ask, what is this cane doing here? Say, no, they don't use it, or they just use it. If you're not using it, it shouldn't be here in the first place, because it's the easiest way.
It's a lazy way of
parenting and raising kids. Let me take this call, then I'll come to you. I'm told the Commissioner for Education, Kwara State, is on the phone to speak with us, Sadatu Modibo Kawu. Good morning, madam. Are you there? Ooh, we lost that call. We'll call her back. We just want to get an update from Kwara State.
I wanted to say that because we did something in the 20th century and it worked, does not mean it's going to work now. We are human beings. We are constantly evolving. It's either you grow or you die. There are some things that hasn't served us that we must begin to drop right now. And so when it comes to children, teenagers, preteens, my daughter now is so excited. She's going to be a teenager next year. So every day she reminds me, I'm going to be 13 next year. I'm going to be a teenager. She's excited about it. But one of the things I've realized, and also as an educationist, is that we must be involved in raising these children. So it's not enough, Nima has highlighted it, to just dump them in one training center or dump them in one school, and you're not constantly engaging the teachers and finding out how their behavior is, what you can do on your own end. Because parenting is about you. It's not the teacher who's going to raise your kids for you. So if you know you can handle only 5, please give birth to 5. You can handle only 1, give birth to 1. Don't have 12 and scatter them all over for people to raise for you. That's one involvement. Also, we need observation. A lot of us are so busy, we don't pay attention to these children. All these things they exhibit outside, they've started it at home. They have started it at home. But because you were not there, you were not paying attention, they go outside and they do, hey, Mogbe, this child wants to kill me. If you have paid attention as a parent, I've not finished, so Mariah, hold on before you cut me. Then finally for me would be conversation and positive reinforcement. When these young people are growing, their emotions are everywhere. They are struggling to understand themselves. They don't even know who they are. That's the job of a parent, to constantly reinforce positively that you are great, you are this, you are that. When that thing sinks into them, there are some behaviors that they will see their peers do, and they're like, I'm too big for that. I can't do this. They understand. They have their own self-esteem. It's a lot of work raising children. Trust me, it's a lot of work. I constantly pray every day on how God can give me grace to handle my own, because they're growing. They're getting to that age where you talk to them and they give you that look. I'm like, whoa. So I'm here already, you know, so.
All right, so I get that, which is right. But you see, what I wanted to say earlier was the fact that some of these children that are sent to these schools are troubled kids that have serious emotional breakdown. There's already a problem from home. Home can't fix it. So home says, hand it over to you. Please help me fix. So in that situation, I don't even have the answers as a parent.
Hold on, let me tell you something. So I remember when I put my child in the boarding house very early, and then the principal, I was having a conversation with somebody because I was thinking of, should I bring him back? I wasn't really happy with how he was behaving, and I felt like there were some things that I probably had missed, or maybe I put him too early, and I was just feeling like I need time with my son. I really need to raise him well. I put him too early. I have to bring him back. And then the person said, if you had felt these people were going to raise this child, and every other parent feels these teachers will raise this child, and they bring a bunch of different children with different problems, what do you think will happen? Your child will go in there and come out worse. Because every child there has a baggage that their parents don't know how to handle, and then you push them there. So you don't know how to handle it, get a therapist, get a professional to talk to you, to help your children go through that stages. Because we all have there are different ways we handle our emotions. So the way, when you shout at, you have 3 kids, or 4, you have 4, and you scream at them the same way. Not all of them will take it at the same level. Some will feel mommy doesn't like me. Some will brush it off and move on. So if we all have children who are a bit different from her, different personalities, why do we need to push them out there for somebody else who does not even understand her own personality as a teacher, has her own frustrations as a married woman or a single lady? All right, let me help your child.
I'll come to you. So what are your thoughts on this, on the fact that these are troubled kids?
So most of these children truly are troubled, and I've seen parents who resort to religious schools extreme.
To help.
They don't do Lagos. They always tell me, Iloke, Ibadan, or Ilorin.
Wow.
Yes, they do. And they say that, the child will come back a better child. But when they return the child, it's a subdued child that comes back.
Yeah.
I know an adult of 45 who doesn't say his prayers, was probably damaged because he has all the memorization of all the verses. And I'm wondering, how do you know how to recite the Quran and you can't live the Quran? Because me, daily, I'm struggling to be an example of what I read. Constantly seeking forgiveness for the things I can't meet up. And you just have all the knowledge. If he opens his mouth, he speaks Arabic. If he greets you, Arabic. But when it's time for prayer, the way we pursue, it's as religious, not godly, or how do I put it?
Yes.
So those kind of children. So I hope that parents are watching and that they are learning. When you have a troubled child, you deal with children part-time. Yeah. I'm dealing with a phase with my first child now that even me now, I'm constantly at a place where wondering, this personality, where did this, all this? I knew she was feisty, she was that kind of child, but at this point, how do I meet up? She doesn't want the new school. She doesn't, and a lot of, she's becoming vocal about and expressing a lot of things. And my result is not to beat. Constantly we're having conversations. How do I meet you halfway? So what do you do? If it's the brother, when you say, I'm not happy, you'll be like, you're not happy with me. What can I do to make you happy? Change. But if you tell the sister you're not happy, I'm not happy too. Yeah. So there are two different people, and it's the same personalities you take to school.
Oh my God. Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll try to take some phone calls and some messages. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Do you have any messages?
I'm trying to find.
I have plenty.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
While you're searching,
David says, correct. The military are the lords of discipline. I attended a military school and discipline was not taken lightly. No be shere. You can die under such correction. I can attest to that myself. Oladidi said, the sad thing is that the boy being flogged today will do the same to his students in future if he becomes a teacher, because that's the method he knows. Ebezi says, children will have conversations, everything still go out and explore as, they'll have conversations and everything, and still go out and explore as they like. What is important is letting them know all the consequences of their action are easy to get out of.
So I'll come to you, Tokwe. So the issue of you're a teenager, you're 14 or you're 16, you're about to finish school, get into university, you're looking forward to alcohol, friends, dating, having a girlfriend, your first kiss, and probably even have a sexual encounter. So all your hormones are out. I know we're not yet parents to teenagers. You're almost almost. But how with this new knowledge, with this new enlightenment that we have, how do we help children in this zone manage their emotions responsibly?
One, I'll say, and I've said it every time, we need to normalize therapy. Normalize seeing a professional. Normalize, and I know because we self-prescribe for doctors, where we have medical issues, you will not say because you're sick or your kitchen sink is not going well, you will now say, I'll do it by myself. Or your toilet is not going well, you do it by yourself. You call in a plumber, you call in the professionals. When a child is behaving in a way you don't understand, you call in a professional.
They didn't do that for us.
No, that is the biggest mistakes our parents made.
They didn't know
because
better.
If they knew better, we would have gotten the knowledge we have now, we would have achieved it faster.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, I believe strongly that if you already dealing with children that have issues, go to therapy. What we do is go to church. And I know I'm a Christian. I believe in the power of God. But God has given us knowledge. You will not pray for them to bring light. You will switch a generator when there's no light. So it doesn't make sense for you to pray for your child to be corrected. What you do is seek the knowledge and consult with those that have the knowledge to correct your child when the damage has been done. Because our biggest assignment as parents is to raise good children. Yeah. But if you are now young, preparing, for all of us that will still have preteens, our responsibility is to equip ourselves and our children for the teenage years. Yeah. And that is by providing support. I think that that's the biggest advice, and I don't know if it's on this show or somebody that mentioned it, giving your children someone else, another adult they like. There is nothing that can replace having that other adult that they like. Because if you think you're the only one that will be the person that they would communicate with, they will not. There are things they can never tell you. That the only person they can tell you is that other friend you had sown into their life. So if your child is preteen, your child is growing up, introduce adults that will bond with them just so that when they need somebody and they cannot talk to you, they will reach out to that person.
Okay. So our greatest mistake is not just what you mentioned, it's secrecy. most parents, when they have a troubled child, they're embarrassed and try to cover it up. So you are the major problem. When I was growing up, my mom used to do it, and I used to think it was strange. She'll call her friends and say, see you, Nima, don't open eye you, help me. And I always say it, I had 4 mothers, and they all sat at my wedding. They all had a part in who I turned out to be. And I had one of them exchange with me how it is tough to be a single mother. If you go try get belle here, we no go about her. I will just tell you now.
Okay, that's a different system.
No, that's the system that I use.
That use, yeah, but
I had Mrs. Bruno, my mom handed and said, Bibo mentor these children. I don't know what to do. So you can't have a problem and you cover it up as secret and go and resort to somebody who will further damage your child. Around you, there's always help. The problem is, no, this person should not know my problem. Let them not come and talk about my problem.
Right.
We were public news growing up. We were 4 girls.
Well, can you still do that today?
If you lived in Iba housing estate at the time,
can you let your child be
public news.
You must not be public to everybody, but you must. That's the same thing I said. You must have trusted people that your children can talk to.
My mom did not shy from not trusting that they will not spread the information.
She just
what she needed solution for, she find the solution.
Okay.
So let people who will help your child share their experiences with their own realities with your child and make them better persons. One woman locked me in her house and told me, Nima, if you born child, this is what you will go through. Do you want this for yourself? And I cancelled that option. It did not happen again. So tomorrow I don't need it.
Let me check Yakub. Yakub, are you there?
Keep me for long.
Good morning. Sorry,
Sorry,
you're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning to you.
Morning.
This story, it's good that the government has come to the station now. I can tell you this story. It's one of the stories that I follow very well, even to yesterday. I have a friend that's been a program on the social media. Well, do you know that this guy in fight 3 of these kills, and then the teacher of this school? I watched them lively. And then what one of the child says is that it's too late that they went to the club. And then they took a trophy, and then they pour one of the trophy on one of them that is doing the birthday. Do you get it? And then do you know one of them said it's a lie. All these our teachers, they are not. Let me even use the language that the guy used. He said, we are drinking yogurt, they call it trophy. So out of the 3, the 2 of them says that yes, they were really go to club and then they were drinking trophy. One of them says it's a lie. Now the teacher now says that they have never been that in their life in that madrasa, because this video of these people, these ladies, go to the parents, and then the parents call them that we brought our children to your madrasa in order for you to turn them to better. And then look at this video, and then you see the children that we have brought to your madrasa, and then you allow this thing going on. And then before they now look into the video, they now find out that is it too late these children go through this, and then they call them. They have them. Is it too late that you went to the club? 2 of them said yes. One.
Well, you get the gist
of it. He was trying to narrate what happened, how they trusted.
So, I mean, the parents entrusted them to make them better persons. But what I was trying to get to the end before he lost connection was, did the children go from the school? According to the supervisor of the school, they went from their homes where they were on breaks. And their parents said they posted the pictures of their escapades on social media, and so they called the school to say.
We're going to wrap up. Let me come to PCA.
So, you know, one of the reasons why I wouldn't blame parents who, try to shroud their children when things are happening is because some people have not mastered the art of building a tribe. So, as a normal functioning human being, you must have a support system. You must have a tribe that you cultivate. It could be people you meet and then you realize that you're like minds, you share the same values. You start grooming them, you hang out, you have your children come to each other. So you build that tribe. It's easy to tell somebody in your tribe that this is happening to my child. How do I get help? But if you do not have that tribe, you have not built it, it's detrimental to carry expose your children to people who you are not even sure if they're happy with you. they will go outside and broadcast. Before you realize it, they will start tagging your children and giving them names. So people try to protect themselves. So I wouldn't really blame people who don't, you know, report some of these issues. But if you have the means to take the right steps, which is get a professional and all that, you can go that route. And if you still want to have that community of people, you need to build it, cultivate it, and make sure that they are real to you as you are real to them. So I'm not narrating what my son has done, and I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to 15 other people after you. So it wouldn't be like that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay.
So we have to wrap up on this, but I mean, I remember, you're right, that tribe thing, I think I had a few answers to that. I shared with you, the first day I came from Ajashe, I had hair, I was 8 years old, all the way to this place. And I was so excited to come and straighten my hair. My mom too saw me and she was wondering, how come her dad allowed? But she didn't say anything. As I went to the next door, Mrs. Adeshoko's house, she just saw me, saw lipstick on my face. What? She just, first of all, scissors, first of all, I was so angry. I will never forget, I was so angry. I can't cut my hair, I can't cut my hair. But an 8-year-old child having hair all the way to her, for what reason?
Well, may I quickly just add that it's okay that you meet two people having a conversation about your child. You see, the world is not going to fall, it's not gossip.
Yeah.
That was the mistake. I saw it, I live it, I'm a living example of it. Nima Bear, hey, this Nima. We never even finished school before we start having problems. I was the conversation. And sometimes I walk into it and they will finish that conversation. If I want to work, they say, come back here, stay here. We are gossiping about you. Deal with it. You are giving us problems. Don't you want your mother to have peace? Stay with us. So you now hear examples. Mommy Stella is in London now. I remember them. I love them. They did me well. It's okay.
I miss the days of nosy. I miss the days of nosy neighbors.
When
nosy neighbors, we see them as nosy neighbors, but they helped. I would have been in a terrible relationship right now if some nosy neighbors of my then boyfriend didn't call my mom to say, we are seeing Tokwe in this house every time. So my mom came gangster mode to pull me from my boyfriend's house. And I'm grateful to God. I don't know who that nosy neighbor was, but the person knew I was coming to visit my boyfriend then and told my mom that your daughter is always coming here. You know, and my mom had to call her friend and say that, but you are a neighbor to this person, so you mean you are not be seeing my daughter? I said, I didn't want to tell you. Say, well, he's a different person that told me. So I miss the days of nosy neighbors, and sometimes some people will want to help you now, but they'll be worried about how you will take it. So be more receptive to feedback on your children, even if they are negative. We all like when they say our children are doing well, but sometimes you need to hear that your child isn't doing well.
So you can
I have to wrap up. I wanted to share this story. When I was a child, my dad... I can never forget. My dad has only beaten me, I think, 2 or 3 times max. I always remember all the episodes. We went to Shina Peters. Shina Peters was dancing. We were dancing, myself and my sister, my other dog, dancing. My daddy was far away with the cigar, just watching. We knew he was watching us, but we were not sure. We couldn't read his reaction. We were just watching. This man is just watching. We just we didn't care. Oh, that
when got home.
Oh, Jesus, God. It was air conditioner wire. He twisted it. You know that AC wire is very thick. Twisted it.
What did people do wrong? The dance?
Just dancing.
How can you be my own children
in front of Shino Peters?
That was the
scene.
rationale.
Imagine.
Wow.
See how they beat us.
Don't compare.
The mark was on my body till I grew up. Anyways, that's all we can take on this. But I think our parents must have learned a few things from us today.
Please.
We can't use violence to raise children. Because you're going to only raise children who are only in the violent mode. They only solve problems through violence. We need to start conversations and help understand that if you don't have that tribe where you can have a support system, get professionals. I think that's the crux of it. I like the idea of the tribe. Get a cluster of good friends that you are of like minds. Raise your kids, bounce ideas off each other, raise each other's kids properly. But if you don't have that, if you're the loner kind of person, that's fine. Find a professional to help your children. Let's go on a break. When we come back, move on to our Let's Talk. Stay with us. We'll be right back.